When they first heard about this thing, it was crew expendable. The next time they sent in Marines, they were expendable too. What makes you think they're gonna care about a bunch of lifers who found God at the ass end of space? You really think they're gonna let you interfere with their plans for this thing? They think we're crud, and they don't give a fuck about one friend of yours that's died. Not one.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We're a creature feature podcast about monsters and why we love them. I'm Joe Praska, one of your hosts, and with me is...
your other host, Khalid Hussein.
What's up, Khalid?
Not much, Joe. Just hanging back on this Memorial Day evening and just excited to chat with you, buddy.
Yeah, you're dropping the sausage bits. This is a Monday night we're recording, and I'm releasing this on a Tuesday, so I got a lot of work ahead of me.
Dropping the sausage bits. Okay.
Yeah, you always like to talk about the sausage and this stuff, you know?
No, I don't. And even if I did, I've never said dropping the sausage bits. Like, you can't just casually throw that in there. Like, it's like, that's just associated with me and what I do.
It's one of your slogans, I thought.
One of my slogans?
Yeah.
I have no slogans, Joe.
Well, it's that one and like how the sausage is made. That's the other one.
I feel like you're really pigeonholing me to this sausage thing that I offhandedly said once, like 50 episodes ago.
I don't know. I just figure it's kind of your thing.
I feel like you say it's my thing and then offer no evidence to that other than every other time you've said it's my thing.
Fair. Anyway, Khalid, welcome back. XENOMANIA Part 3.
Part 3! We doing it!
We're keeping on with our series, exploring the Alien franchise one film at a time with special guests along the way. Khalid, are you ready for us to just bring in those special guests?
I'm so ready, Joe.
I'm really excited because
so ready.
We got another episode that's kind of one of those superstar all-star guest episodes. I could call them Frankenstars, if you will, Khalid.
Did you just come up with that on the spot?
I actually planned it like a couple days ago.
Yeah, okay, that's also impressive.
Yeah, Frankenstars. Anyway, joining us, we have Mr. Joel H. Brewster, who's been on the podcast several times. You'll recognize him from episode 17 on Krampus, episode 37, the Candyman double feature, episode 39, Pumpkinhead, and our 50th episode special. Welcome back, Joel.
Thank you so much for having me on again and for this great movie. Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks for coming.
Welcome, friend. Good to have you back.
Thank you. I'm honored to be a Frankenstar.
Yes. It's sticking. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Joel also is the host of West Coast Strange, the great horror podcast. Has usually monthly, I think you're at right now, Joel, right?
It is monthly, and sometimes now, because I've been really caught up with writing, it's slowed down. So I'll be back at it soon. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, and your website, West Coast Strange, always a good place for nonstop horror, cool shit. I recommend that. And you got some cool writing, film projects, short film projects on the road. So always into cool stuff, which we'll give you some chance to plug that too towards the end.
I do have one quick aside. I'm just realizing, when you say West Coast Strange, are you talking about the West Coast of like Canada?
Yeah, it is.
Wow. I don't know. It just that never clicked for me. I just always assumed you just meant like California for no reason. Anyways, Moving on.
Yeah, that's why I assumed in that first episode he was on that he was in LA with you.
Wait, do you live on the West Coast of Canada?
I do. I live in Victoria, so it's like beside Victoria.
That's the West Coast?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Sorry. I'll blow. My mind is blown, but I'll do that in private.
Yeah. All right.
Fuck.
All right. Well, that's a good segue with the voice you hear in the background to introduce Frankenstein number 2 here tonight. With us also is Jim Tandberg, who you can hear on episode 26 on Uzumaki, one of our big book club episodes, 38 RoboCop, and 58 on Chainsaw Man. Jim is also one of our local artists here who made our logo, our banner, which you should definitely check out if you haven't seen. Some great work. Jim, welcome back.
Thank you, Joe. I guess, yeah, Thank you. I don't know. I just
Great, that
want
was
to
a
say,
great intro.
I was so thrown off. Who would have thought Khalid, the LA guy, would have been surprised that there are other coasts, you know?
I just don't hear. First of all, technically, I think it's the same coast. You know, it's still North America, right? Am I wrong?
I
Yes.
had to stop myself from screaming that at you at that
Okay,
moment.
I'm just saying.
The west coast of Canada. We should get moving on. We have so much. Oh my god.
You're the one that relitigated this. I wanted to move on.
I'm loving this so far already.
Yeah. We're off to a great start.
I don't think I'm the only person in the whole history of the world that has like one idea of the West Coast. I think that's fair.
Look, that's good. But I have so many corrections to make for details that you guys missed in the other episodes. So
Oh boy.
we should.
Ooh.
Here we go.
Don't keep us waiting. All right. Sorry. Moving on, Joe.
Nitpick Central about to come into. All right, Khalid, why don't you give us a little shakedown, brief rundown. I don't know what I'm saying. A little rundown of what we're talking about.
All right. So the brief shake rundown, as you put it, I call it a synopsis from our homeboy Google.
That's the word.
And today, as you mentioned, we're talking about Aliens 3, the third in the franchise, directed by David Fincher, written by Walter Hill, David Giller, Dan O'Bannon, and Ronald Shusett, and Larry Ferguson. And the synopsis goes a little something like this. Ellen Ripley is the only survivor when she crash lands on Fiorina 161, a bleak wasteland inhabited by former inmates of the planet's maximum security prison. Once again, Ripley must face skepticism and the alien as it hunts down the prisoners and guards. Without weapons or modern technology of any kind, Ripley leads the men into battle against the terrifying creature. Done.
What a monster!
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
All right, before we dig into actually thoughts here, I wanted to have a couple things that I wanted to say to Khalid about your synopsis here. So I don't think Dan O'Bannon actually wrote anything on this. I think he's just credited as original characters, right?
That's probably what it is. It just says screenplay, and then it's got all the names that are associated. So he might just get screenplay credit since it's based on his work.
Just want to clarify so we don't tarnish his name here.
Fair enough.
And second, I want you we corrected you before this, but it's Alien³, Khalid?
Yes.
I don't think that's what it's actually called. Every time
Thank you, Joseph. I'm tired of this.
Yes.
Everywhere I've seen it like referenced, it's Alien 3, and
It's the ninth Alien movie.
I think you guys are pranking me, and it's not a good prank.
No. And lastly, I want to mention that for listeners who are watching along with us, we all chose to watch the assembly cut, which tend to be considered the more complete version of the film. The theatrical has I'm gonna break down some of the big significant differences between the two cuts, but the theatrical has some other like plotting issues where things were cut out that left the viewer not making a whole lot of sense. So we watched the fuller version of it. I know there are people who swear by the theatrical version, so if you're one of those people, we apologize.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, that being said, why don't we just do some snapshot and initial thoughts? I want to bring you into this, Joel, because I remember one of the reasons I wanted to reach out to you anyway because you're a Frankenstein. But one of the reasons I reached out to you specifically for this one is I saw you had a post on West Coast Strange about 4 horror movies that came out in '92, which was the year that your family moved to Canada, correct?
That's right. Yeah, we moved from England to Canada May 2nd, 1992. So every May 2nd, I kind of bring it up. Then 1992, this year for content, I was like, let me see what movies were coming out. And then I saw that this was one of the movies that came out that year. And yeah, and it's funny when we first started talking about this, my memory of, because I had to rewatch it, right? And my memory of this was, I think I thought Alien 3 was Alien 4. So I was like, yeah, the one with the basketball, and not to spoil for everyone else to watch it. I was like, that scene with Ripley, the basketball, Winona Ryder, I think is in the 4th one.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I was thinking of that movie. I'm like, oh, okay. And then when I rewatched it, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I was skipped a complete movie.
Why is that the only thing anybody remembers about Alien Resurrection? Because that is the exact first thing that slips into my mind whenever
Every
I think
time.
of that movie as well. Like,
The basketball scene?
It's the fucking basketball. It's nothing else.
You
It's
guys
the
are gonna get a
basketball.
lot to
She
look
catches it,
forward
right?
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, she catches it like straight on. I remember that like scene like burned into my memory for some reason. And Ron Perlman's in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this
it's
like a
very unique
tricky
scene.
basketball? Is that hard to do in the future?
Actually, 100% no, but like, it's incredible that she did the shot because it's not like doctored at all. She fades it behind the back. I don't know. This is trivia. I'm ruining.
She skyhooks it. She does like the Kareem.
Oh,
Yeah.
You are in for a ride for that movie.
She does it so good that Ron.
She's gonna do a skyhook. I'm into it.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun in 4, Khalid. You'll be excited.
It's so good that
Okay.
Ron Perlman breaks character.
Oh, I gotta rewatch it.
I'm into it.
Anyway, sorry, Joel. Thoughts on Alien 3?
It's funny. I liked where the premise was going, but and I watched both versions too, by the way, because I wanted to see the differences after that. So I crammed both versions on my daughter's birthday weekend when she was asleep. So it was really rough I was tired, but I
Happy
crammed
birthday
both
from us.
versions. So thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
I'll pass on to her. I will pass on to her. And I thought the assembly version was better. One thing I did like better in the theatrical was the dog as opposed to the cow. I don't know.
That's
you guys-
interesting.
Yes.
I want to get into
prefer
that too. I like the cow.
Wait, it's
Interesting.
a cow in the.
So in the
It's an oxen.
An oxen. Yeah.
Which one, did you watch the dog version, Khalid?
Dang it! You said that was the one.
No, I said the
Wow.
ox.
No, but you said the quadrilogy had the right one.
There's a theatrical and a special edition.
I checked and it didn't let me pick like special.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna have some compare and contrast here.
All right. Well, fine.
Yeah. So as Joel was mentioning, in the theatrical cut, there is the alien chestburster comes out from a dog.
Mhm.
In the assembly cut, it's an ox that is killed and eventually breaks out of the ox after it's hung up in like kind of like a butcher area or like a weird kind of kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the dog was a little more brutal, so I like that because I'm like, oh, you killed a dog on screen. That's pretty intense to do that, especially in the 90s. So that's why I thought that change was better. But overall, the assembly cut was, better. But
Yeah, we'll go into some more detail on some of the big changes, but yeah, an interesting trivia piece. They actually had tried to dress up the dog in like alien like makeup and costuming and to be the alien in the movie. And there's some actually test footage of like the alien, like a dog just having like an alien like head on and like a suit. And it's I mean the poor little. I think the dog doesn't look like that upset, but it just like didn't do anything that they wanted it to do. It's just like running around being like a happy dog.
Yeah.
And so they're like, this isn't gonna work.
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's good trivia.
So anyway, Jim, what were your thoughts initially?
Honestly, of the original 4 Alien movies, this is maybe the one that I have the least to think about, and I've seen the least. When Alien Resurrection came out, just like with you, I was in the age group where that was kind of my Alien movie. And that one's so bad it's good. This one's just kind of like it's got like 6 screenwriters and it shows, like it's just I again, like Joel, I kind of appreciate that in a way. Like it's cool that with these movies they were so focused on reinventing them. And kind of going back to this, that's really something that Hollywood that has changed so much in the last 40 years, where Hollywood is just so hesitant to do anything new with anything. Like the fact that like back then, studios were constantly being like, well, we can't just do the same thing over again. We got to find some new take on it. That's kind of good. And I appreciate the intention of things, but none of the execution works. And the older I get, the more I have a problem with like just David Fincher and his kind of catalog. And even though this really isn't necessarily like his movie or whatever, I don't know. It's got a lot of 90s to it that, I don't know.
Fair points.
Honestly, the most intense memories I have of this are playing the Genesis game. And the other one is probably not podcast as appropriate. I don't know.
That's okay.
Okay. I want to know.
Save it for the Patreon, which we don't have.
I mean, I could tell it. I don't
Okay.
know.
I mean, we're
Yeah, I
waiting.
wanna know.
We're waiting.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus fucking Christ. So I saw Aliens way too young. Like, my mom would, try to not let us see horror movies, but my dad, when she wasn't around, didn't really care. He
Mhm.
wanted to watch what he wanted to watch, and if the little gremlins would come up. So, like, for context, the earliest scrapbooks of my drawings when I started drawing when I was 3 are of Ninja Turtles, Batman, and the Alien. And like I have like I watch like I grew up watching Aliens, and I remember like playing Pictionary and trying to draw the alien, and it's just like a squiggle with like a few lines coming off of it. And my sister kept drawing horses, and I kept drawing the alien, and so we kept guessing which one was like playing Pictionary. We weren't playing it right, but um, so aliens have just been totally ingrained. Then Midwest Catholic, with a mom who was really conservative. And I don't know if you remember this, Joe. I didn't get to go to sex ed class with everyone else.
Yes, I do remember that.
I had to sit outside, and my mom was like, we'll cover that with you. Which, to her credit, and my dad, they tried to. The only problem was the atmosphere around all of that. I just wanted to get out of that situation as much as fucking possible, So I kind of was just like, okay, I get it. I get it. Like, I understand it all. But like, I didn't. Like, I didn't know anything about sex until like, honest to God, I don't even want to say. So let's just say, when I started having specific dreams, they weren't of a sexual nature. They were horror based, right?
Oh boy.
Huh.
And the very first one was literally like I was just like in a dream, and suddenly the aliens come in, which would kind of happen frequently. The aliens would like just be in the dreams, and sometimes it was awful, sometimes it wasn't bad. But then I remember like just like the dream became intense, and like I felt like a way I didn't feel before. And then finally I felt myself falling, and suddenly I was like Ripley, and I was falling back, and my chest burst out just like the ending of the theatrical cut.
Oh boy.
And then I woke up, and I'd soiled the bed, and I thought I'd pissed it. And I had this panic that I was in 8th grade, and I developed a bedwetting problem. And I like cleaned up the sheets, and just for like weeks, just agonized. Oh my god! Like what if somebody finds out? Like what am I gonna like wet myself? But yes, that is honest to God, just the Genesis game, and really that moment. But every time this movie comes up, it reminds me of that nightmare. Like, oh.
So you have to keep that in the podcast.
If you want this,
If you want to, I'm fine with it.
yeah,
Like
Jimmy,
maybe that'll help somebody who has like I have nothing. I don't.
Joel's like,
Shit.
as a faithful listener, I'm telling you, this is what the fans want.
I have literally alien wet dream written down in my notes, and like a circled and like question mark. My awkward teenage years are yours to mine for if you think it'll get you gold.
I like it. All right. Anyway, that being said,
Segue after that, you son of a bitch.
no, I can't. I mean, that's just too good.
God.
Khalid, you heard a glimpse of it with Jim's description there, but another big difference from the version you watched to our version, to the assembly cut, at the end when she falls in the theatrical cut, the chest burster comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, that happened in mine.
Yeah, in the assembly cut, it does not come out. She just falls in on her own, kind of her own choice, and so.
You mean into the infinite chasm of fire until she just disappears?
Exactly.
Terminator
At like 10 frames a second.
Yeah,
But it's like that's the thing though. She just I don't think even within that they attempted to actually show her engulfed in flames. They just like shrunk her until she disappeared.
interesting choices. Anyway, Khalid, what did you think of the movie?
Man, this is rocky after the first two. As Jimmy pointed out, yeah, it has a lot of screenwriters, which feels like the most obvious issue with this movie. I think what was so cool about the first two movies was that like in a lot of ways they were like genre defining within their eras, and this one feels very much defined by the era it was shot in. Everything about it felt like,
oh my god,
like a
the
knockoff.
font.
It felt like a knockoff Verhoeven kind of a thing, like just very misguided in like what it was trying to do, and just like that edgelordy 90s aspect of it with regards to like how they chose to characterize the prisoners. Like they very much went for like the Con Air type of characterization. but not even in the fun way where it's like it's a plane full of prisoners and they're all like the worst psychos you could have, and like they play that for comedy and stuff like that. Like there's like a Aliens way to do that where it's like you start having like more Paxton type characters, but they're like lawless cowboys or whatever. But instead they like went the route of like they're all like messed up, awful like monster criminals, and they just are just like annoying and boring to like hear and watch. So it's just like there's like a couple levels that just doesn't work dramaturgically, you know?
And they all look the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Khalid,
like,
are you forgetting they explained it with the double Y chromosome? Don't you remember how they completely explained why they were such
even
weird
that just like was
sociopaths?
not that, like for me it was just like the most like rudimentary like logic, and I'm just like, this is supposed to be like a sci-fi story, like
Oh
they're
my
using
God.
like middle school rules of like, well, there's no girls here so they won't go crazy, and it's just like like it's such a like script by committee ass story that like it's really hard to like even be generous and like, well, they meant to do something with it. Like you can't even really give them that with this. And I don't know, man. Like I've mentioned this in text to you already, Joe, but there are a lot of speeches, like so many speeches. Like it just felt very like Sorkin-y without like any of that quality, even like very sub Sorkin material. And yeah, I don't know. That we haven't even gotten to like the fact that the first like 15 to 30 minutes of this movie is just like actively ruining your memory of the movie before it.
Yeah.
It's just very, can we just get into it? Because that's really like, I'm most interested in that.
Imagine watching this movie as a child, like holding Corporal Hicks like action figures, and then seeing this movie and being like, well, wait, where's the guy I like?
He's the melted corpse.
Yeah, it's like,
he's the melted corpse.
Yeah.
And next to him is the drowned corpse of the little girl that we spent the entire last movie rooting for and like so happy she's alive. Turns out she's not alive because for some reason, even though this is Ripley's like second rodeo, she doesn't do a dummy check of the shuttle, I guess, before going into cryo. Is that what we're being told? That like this horrific thing happened to characters we love, and then the only character that returns is like the melted android corpse of Lance Henriksen? That's what we're left with? His goopy, pussy eye just like leaking out as he tells us that even for an android, this is hell, what he's being forced to do right now. That's the only fan service we get from the last movie. This movie hates aliens. Like, I thought Rise of Skywalker was like the best example of like a movie hating its like predecessor. This movie like wants to take aliens out behind the barn and shoot it between the eyes. You know, like seriously, they juxtaposed the funeral of like two beloved characters from the last movie with a chest burster coming out of a poor helpless dog. Like they didn't want us to associate any pleasantness with aliens. It's so weird.
Or Ox Khalid in the other version.
Or Ox, whatever. Yeah, that is such a weird big difference.
So in the other version, the assembly cut, when they use the Ox, it's like strung up on like a chain and it bursts out. But either way, the point is, I think that the idea of this alien that we encounter is called a runner. So it's like a quadruped, and that's because it burst out of like the host. That's a quadruped itself. So the idea is that this is kind of taking that notion that they take on characteristics of the host.
Yeah, you'd think with an ox it would have come out, more like a stampeder or something,
like bigger and bulkier.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah, I think there's issues with it. I think I just like the ox because I think the dog made me sad.
Wow.
Yeah, the dog made me sad too, but I thought that was like, this is kind of a messed up horror thing. I was like, but it made me sad. I was like, that's actually like, you went for the thing that made me sad. I was like, that's such a bold move.
They killed the dog. They killed the dog.
That's the thing, though, is that like it might not have been bad by itself, because like you think about like The Thing has already been around for a while at this point, and it's like that movie started with a possessed dog. Like if it was just the dog, we might be bummed, but it's like the gauntlet of like, we have the dog, we have Newt's corpse getting sawed open and like investigated, and like all of this like bummer stuff happening on top of it. It's just like relentless for like for like 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Oh, what, Khalid? You want a story about a mother connecting to a surrogate daughter? Oh, that smulchy shit? Fuck you, Khalid. No way.
You know what I don't
Children's
want?
are for autopsies. Children's are for...
I don't want David Fincher anywhere near any more action adventure like sci-fi sequels. I do not want to know what he has planned for Avatar 3.
I have a fun fact about that, actually.
Oh, here we go.
About Fincher. This was Fincher's first sci-fi movie, and he didn't do another sci-fi movie until last year, which was Love, Death, and Robots. Everything else, like he's done fantasy, but he hasn't done a sci-fi movie until the Love, Death, and Robots episode Bad Traveling.
Because he was so mad about this?
That's like a
I
short
don't know
film.
about that, but I just thought that was like a really, like 20 years later. That was his next one he did.
It's because this isn't what he wants to do. Like he basically just turned an Alien movie into an episode of Mindhunter. It's so weird. Like it's just a bunch of long methodical conversations about like the alien and stuff like that. And then like at times like this alien compared to the other ones, which is just like a ruthless hunter, has like great timing and like understands suspense and like just
It blows out candles.
no, like
Animals are smarter than
like,
humans somehow.
this is Hannibal Lecter. Like, it's not the alien that we've been following. It's so, and it's just like, oh yeah, of course this guy was like, man, I really wish I could do something about the Zodiac Killer. Like, that's what he really wanted to be doing.
I don't know if Joe has facts about like why, like, because I heard that Fincher was kind of not pressured to do this, but he was kind of set up to fail for this one. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I got some deets here about that. Yeah, so he was pretty much a brand new director at this time. As you mentioned, there's like a ton of script writers, and he's going off of like just kind of a mess. And I think ultimately he's trying to do the best, but what we have to blame here is both the studio, mostly the studio, a little bit Fincher, because I think that Fincher was in prime like edgelord year. So a lot of the really edgelord decisions were him. Like I think he actually wanted the nude autopsy to be more graphic, but like the special effects people were like, we feel really uncomfortable about this, and had to dial it back. You know?
we already see a 10-year-old girl's nipple like a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
It's all so uncomfortable,
and it's all like a prop. Like they didn't get the actors back at all. Like I think Jim.
Oh, really, Joe?
No, yeah, yeah, no. I mean, sometimes in death scenes they have the actors like there, but the likeness they had to use it. But like you told me this, Jim, that like Michael Biehn was so mad that he wasn't returning, he like sued them, or like, right, didn't he negotiated his price like more than he made for Aliens because he wasn't returning just to use his likeness.
Yep.
Yeah, like there was a lot of hard feel. Like Michael Biehn was mad. James Cameron was pissed. He's had a quote in a magazine where he's like, I could never be that cruel, and he said about this movie, and he wasn't happy with what he did to the characters that he kind of like developed in Aliens. And fans were like really not happy with about it. It was not a really great way to start after like coming off of something such as beloved as Aliens. And I think like with what Fincher was trying to do with all these different scripts, this was like the 6th iteration of a script that they were trying to make for Alien 3. And I actually have a little bit of a breakdown of some of the other ideas that were rejected before this, if you guys want to hear. So
yes,
we know one of the earliest ones, they approached William Gibson, who's kind of the father of like cyberpunk, wrote Neuromancer. And he wrote a script that was supposed to be like a 2-part script that was there would be 2 films, and the first film would follow Hicks and Newt waking up in like a mall, like a space station mall owned by Weyland-Yutani. And so it was going to kind of tie into like bring the corporatism to like a consumerism angle. And then the end of it, Ripley would wake up and her movie would be the 4th movie. So it was like a 2-part movie, like an Infinity War Endgame kind of thing, you know? And they rejected it. They said it wasn't interesting. I think there were a lot of cyberpunk elements to it, being in this like futuristic like space station mall. And they also didn't want to fully commit to saying like we have to do 2 full movies. So they ended up not going with it. And there were other scripts after that from, other scriptwriters. I have a website here I can put in the show notes, but there was another one where it was going to be like a monk planet that rejected all of technology. So it was everything would be all wooden. There would be no like weapons other than like spears or something, which that kind of a holdover. You can see elements of that wooden like monk planet held over to the prison planet where they're like they found God and they don't have guns and anything like that. And I think one of the only holdovers from Gibson's script is the barcodes on the neck. That was something that he came up with. But it's just like you can kind of see that this script is just like, I don't know, like an amalgamation of a lot of things that came before it and just like disparate elements that just don't quite fit. And I mean, you guys all shared your thoughts. I didn't really share my initial thoughts, I suppose, but like I think this is a bad movie overall. It's a very bad. I think there are moments that are really great and a few I think the cinematography is really good. Like we see it more in the assembly cut where they have the shots of the planet. There's some like really good shots and like some good like framing that I think is really well done. But it's just the big like unfortunate thing is just it's really boring. Like so many of the characters are so uninteresting and so boring, and even the ones with like the hint of like I thought Charles Dance's character was probably one of the ones with the most like hint of something interesting, and he was killed off. Like there's an alien trope of like killing off characters you think are going to last longer, and it really didn't work here. I don't think.
I thought he was an android right up until he was killed. He had sex. He did a whole bunch of other stuff. He gave us his backstory, and the whole time I was like, "Nope, you're an android." And then
strangest forced love scene I've ever seen in my life too. That was odd.
Well, on one hand, it's like I actually appreciate that if I was gonna die in that situation, I would just be like, "Is there any willing partner here?" Like,
yeah,
like I don't know. Just to really
my
distress.
thing is like that's such a weird like heteronormative thing even for the 90s of just like, oh well, it's an island full of dudes, as long as there's no girls there will be no sexual urges, even though like you're telling us a lot of these guys are like sex offenders, and it's like prison even by that point. Like we don't have to get into it, but it's like it's just like so like narrow-minded in how it thinks about like how the movie chooses to like think about sex or like urges or anything. It's very, very confusing for like an otherwise like ahead of its time series.
Yeah, that's completely true.
No, I actually think a really good metaphor for the movie is the alien itself. Because like in concept, like when we get into describing the monster, I'd like to go into it. I think that this actually like really helps the alien life cycle. Like they found a good way to go with it that explains it, makes the species make more sense until they mess it all up in Prometheus. But like the alien just doesn't work in the vast majority of the scenes it's composited in. There's kind of a charm to that, but it takes something that is iconic, and it just like there are some shots where the alien looks as good or fucking better than ever. Like a few movements where obviously you're not seeing the whole thing, and it just like you'll just see like a quick shot and you're just like,
what are you talking about, the animated renderings or like the actual like practical
like when
effects?
there's like the practical effect of like when the alien goes up close to her face and stuff.
Course,
and there's a few other ones like that where like it really works there, but like the vast majority of the time the alien just doesn't work. It's not there and you're not scared by it. And that's kind of like this movie in a nutshell.
That's a good point, Jim. And to what you were saying, just to bounce off that one, that scene where it's like comes up really close to her face in the infirmary there. That was a scene. That was another thing. Like Fincher had to was fighting to get that scene in shot, and the studio said, "We don't like it. It's going to cost too much. Don't do it." And so he actually took a camera and Sigourney Weaver and said, "We're going to film this without permission from the studio," and that scene's so iconic. So it's interesting that almost didn't go there. Just like that, it's illustrative of that warring notion between studio and Fincher, and everything about this production is how fraught it was.
It's weird that scene's the most iconic, probably memeable thing from the whole franchise, and it's from this movie. I find that so strange.
I said the exact same thing to Joe when I did this, or when we were watching this. I was like, when he told me that little anecdote, and I'm like, that's the only thing anybody remembers from this franchise or from this movie.
I thought it was from a different alien. I was like, oh shit, that's from this one?
I thought it was from Aliens, and I must have missed it or something. Yeah. And then I saw it in this one, and I was like, oh, okay, it's got that going for it.
There it is.
I really don't like David Fincher's work, but the man has an eye. He's like Zack Snyder, where I don't think I'd like the person if I met him, but unlike Zack Snyder, he actually knows how to make good or quote unquote make kind of good movies that I just don't enjoy,
I mean, I'm just shocked
competent films, I guess.
Very diplomatic.
Yeah.
I got so much warning about this movie, and even still, I was like, well, it's Fincher. Like, how bad could it be? And it's the sense of pacing to this is so insane. Like the other two movies, even though they tonally go off in like pretty different directions by like the climax, they still both had an understanding of like, okay, when everybody in this location knows that there's a xenomorph, it's all hands on deck. Like the characters are based around like their like need to survive. Not this movie. Like there are a couple of times when like enough people know that there's a xenomorph around and they still don't like get into high gear until like finally the like chief like corrections guy gets like sucked up into the ceiling. Like Charles Dance dies and they still have time for like 5 or 6 like heartfelt conversations, or the really condescending like prison abolitionist dude with the Malcolm X frames. You know what I'm talking about? Dylan.
Yeah, Charles Dutton's character. Yeah.
Charles Dutton's character sucked so much. Like I hated it so much. It was like such a straw man type character that was like there for like some like pseudo like prisoners are people too thing. And then like everything he did was just like not what a person would do in that situation. Like he would just like keep doing that like Denzel like far off stare, and he would just be like, I'm gonna fight until that some bitch takes me down. Like just like saying like really insane things when everybody else is like terrified in a huddle, like trying to figure out what's happening. It was not, none of it like coalesced to make like an entertaining experience. And like, I'm just shocked that Fincher like was like behind it.
You know,
Can we, go ahead, Jim.
Nah,
How about, I was thinking, just to balance this a little bit, let's say a few nice things. So I wanted to bring up a few things that I liked. I think I mentioned already. I think it like Jim was saying, I think it's shot really well. I think there's a lot of really great cinematography elements. I also wanted to say that I think this one does give a lot of really good opportunities for Sigourney Weaver as an actor. I think like when she was given time to grieve, I think in the assembly cut, she's given a lot more time of grief and just like moments of reflecting on losing Newt specifically. Those moments for her as an actor are really good. I still don't like the premise that they're based on, that we have to like kill off Newt in the beginning. I think that's a bad choice, but I thought that was like really good moments for her. I think, what else did I like? Gosh, now I'm blanking. This is hard. I should have had more stuff. In my head. Okay. I think that there's a compelling idea behind what I would almost say is like almost film noir mystery piece to this that could have happened, where the idea in both the other movies is that, okay, in Alien, we know it's an alien creature because they brought it aboard. In Aliens, we know it's aliens, the alien creatures once we see them. In this one, there's like an element of like, we know as the audience an alien, Ripley knows it's alien, but there's like people are dying, and there's a piece there where they're like, oh, it could have been that crazy guy, the Walter Gollak character played by Paul McGann. They're like, it could have been that. And so like the idea that there could have been seeds of a mystery, almost like what it is picking him off, that I think there's an interesting element to that. I think there's a seed of an idea that could have been really cool. And I just have to say on a side note with that Gollak character, that the one who they like straitjacketed in the infirmary, a lot of his scenes were cut in the theatrical. So Khalid, you didn't see that he actually leaves the infirmary and he's the one who lets the alien out of the trap.
Yeah, he gets a whole subplot.
Why?
Yeah, because he has a whole subplot, just like the idea that it's again like it's a holdover from I believe the Monk Planet element, this like element of medievalism where he sees the alien and kind of sees it as like a divine thing almost. He calls it a dragon a few times, and so he thinks that he's supposed to let it go because like in the infirmary when it kills Charles Dance and it leaves Ripley, it leaves him also. He's like, oh, I'm supposed to help it. So he like lets it go and then gets eaten and killed like right away. But like he has kind of more of an arc in it, and like
oh yeah, because he kind of just disappears in the theatrical.
Yeah, and just an aside, like in terms of an actor, like that, Paul McGann, he's the 8th Doctor in Doctor Who, also like unrecognizable here.
I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, he's great, but that's a whole thing. And so I think that I think there are a lot of themes there that are being played around with. None of them are really given enough like room to breathe, I think. But I think there's elements there that could make for an interesting film. I don't love the choice of literally scaling back. Aliens made the story epic, and I think they were trying to scale it back and like let's make it a more personal horror story once again. And I think that I would have rather like jumped more off aliens and seen how could we expand the world more interestingly. And I don't think this really expanded the world, but I like it, if you're going to take this movie in a vacuum, the idea that the actual victory can't Ripley notices like she can't win. She can't defeat the company. She can't defeat the aliens on a grander scale. So her victory at the end is a very personal victory. She's like, I have this last thing I can do. I can stop you from getting this queen, the queen embryo that's inside of her. And she wins in that sense. It's a very personal victory rather than like a grandiose one. And I think for what the movie is trying to say, I think that's a good moment for her. So anyway, those are things I like. Do you guys have anything else you liked?
I do, I guess. Outside of the movie, I like that Sigourney Weaver made a lot more money for this one because I think she was a producer on this.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that for her, especially in the time when this came out, and like well deserved for like how much of an icon she was. And I don't know. I guess like it's not that good of a. I was gonna say it's not that good of a directorial debut for Fincher, but like it's. I guess that's a lot to handle because it's his first movie, isn't it? If
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like as his first movie, I think this like was a lot to handle. Like you're coming in after two heavyweights who just dropped. I guess they weren't even heavyweights at the time, but like the two people that dropped like these fantastic movies, and the third one coming in there. And I agree with you, Joe, that they were trying to go for a more grounded element. That yeah, it didn't really land as well. I was trying to be nice when I was coming into the podcast. I didn't want to shit on someone's favorite movie before when I first started talking here. I'd be like, yeah, I didn't know if I really liked it. Then you guys be like, you loved it. But yeah, I just thought that there were some ideas they went for that could have been pulled up. I like the premise of like the prison. I thought that could have been a cooler premise, but I just don't think they really executed that properly. But then the prisoners, like everyone said here, were kind of boring. So yeah, it's kind of tough to find something I loved. I did like Charles Dance's scenes. I thought he was good up until he died, and I did like what's his name? Hutton, the black guy. I liked his
Charles Dutton.
Yeah, Dutton. I liked his opening. I did like his monologue. If it wasn't cut to how it was cut to, I just thought it like seemed kind of a cool situation, but I just thought that it was just not handled well. So I feel like I said I like that, but also I shit on it. So off to the next person to see what they liked about it.
I actually kind of like Dylan too. Like maybe that's just because I haven't seen the theatrical cut in so long, and he gets better. But I think his character, like, it's it's ridiculous and whatever. But at least he's given some. Yeah, I don't know. I like the way he's acted and whatever. Okay, things I like about this. So to clarify to Joe, like, with this sets, the one thing that I kind of wrote down is just that, like, it feels like a 90s music video, the sets to me. Like, it's really obvious that David Fincher was directing 90s music videos, where especially if you were to like compare these sets to like the first Aliens, some of them are good, but then there's like the one where it's like a round circular area and there's like a thing hanging down it or whatever, and there's like some decorum on the wall. And there's some lights shining in from that decorum. But like if you were to do that in the first Aliens movie, those lights would be, I feel like, farther back, and it would give a sense of it. But like when you're looking at it, you can tell that the lights are shining up, and it gives dimension and whatever to the wall, but it feels like artificial. Like, why would light be shining up in that direction in that way? It's just something that I kept feeling. And I guess it's cool that each three, like, you have the first one has Ridley Scott's excellent design and H.R. Giger and all that. Then you have the utilitarianism of, James Cameron, where he's trying to make a much grander thing with so much or with not that much more budget. And then you have this one where, I mean, again, it doesn't necessarily look or feel like the other two. And that's something that's kind of neat, but like, yeah, I guess actually, do I have anything nice to say about this film? I guess I wasn't actually.
I was waiting for it.
I was like, where's this going to run into?
Okay, the one thing I like about this film is that they figure out the alien's life cycle. Like it now, so I don't know if this gets us into what a monster, but like in the first movie, the alien is based off of like the wasps that will go in, infect or lay an egg into a caterpillar, and then the cat egg will grow into a grub, which will then eat its way through the caterpillar and get out of it, right? That was their original concept for the alien. So, but then they cut the scene in the first movie, which explains how the eggs are made. So Jimmy Cameron sees that, and he's just like, well, where did the eggs come from? And that kind of sends him down a rabbit hole of coming up with the idea of the queen and adding this colony to that. And it's great. It's a fantastic movie, but I mean, it still doesn't really make much sense why the aliens would like lay these eggs and then have this like 2-stage cycle to like then have to find another host to do it if they're supposed to be this like super advanced organism. But I think with this one, where they kind of come up with doing it by introducing the runner, we now have a really interesting thing where it's like, to me, at this movie, the aliens now kind of fit, and this is a strictly headcanon. I didn't do this, but I feel like if you've seen The Last of Us, they have the cordyceps fungus in there. And like in real life, that's a thing where there's like one fungi for each kind of like insect, and that's what makes the fungus bad people in the Last of Us TV show and video games. And like in the jungle where that is, there's like one virus for kind of like each one, and whenever a particular bug's population grows too big, like termites or ants, they'll statistically run into this like fungi, or they run into a chance of running into that more, and since it only infects them, it then reduces their population back to like regular sizes. So as I kind of fall to it, being that with this one, we established that the aliens like use the second host to create an imprint, and kind of like then they just have an alien drone that is adapted to whatever environment it needs to be, you know, for the species it is. It sort of turns the aliens into this like apex predator of galactic civilizations, like the Great Barrier of the Fermi paradox. That's how I always kind of saw it. It's just like it's something that was either created or evolved, and it can come out, it gets discovered, it like is immediately like dangerous, adapting, spreading itself. It runs through all the spaceships or the planet, and then it goes dormant for millions of years until somebody else comes by, rediscovers it. It immediately like can run through that. That's how I really liked to picture the alien. And I will say this movie, because boy, do they get rid of that for Prometheus and Alien. Like
Jimmy, we had one rule. If you come back on the podcast, you can't keep bringing up the Fermi paradox.
Did I do it before? Did I do it before?
No, I'm teasing you.
I like that theory a lot, though.
Yeah, I really do. I like that
I
theory.
really like that theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, yeah, I think it makes the aliens seem grand, and it just makes their whole life cycle make sense, where it's just like, yeah, just like whatever comes, they're going to be able to use it to reproduce themselves, and then they just hang out and wait, you know?
I think the Prometheus movies use that to an extent.
I don't know. I never saw Alien Covenant because I saw Prometheus, so I never saw
Covenant
Alien Covenant.
touches on that. That sounds familiar to me in terms of like everything I saw in this movie made sense because of like.
Didn't the android make him an Alien Covenant? I thought I had heard
well,
that.
there's an element of that. We will believe me. We will get into it in those
Actually,
episodes,
I'm
Jim.
sorry.
Spoil.
And I will reference it for sure.
I'll keep my good thing about the movie brief. I like that they attempted like talking about prisoners this time, just in the sense of like that tradition of the first two movies, like kind of being a socioeconomic conversation between like what a corporation can do to like blue collar workers, and then what a corporation can do to the military. And now it's like, although I don't think they landed the argument or like the perspective that they were trying to have with it, I still appreciate like thematically that like it goes in that direction. And I mean, I hope that they eventually come back to prisoners and try to do it justice. I don't know. They keep making alien stuff anyway, but like, I think there's something like really ripe in that, especially with like how we like think of like the prison population versus like a xenomorph. And like, I think in better hands that's a really cool idea that should be explored.
Oh, like the company using various prisons on this like entire prison planet to like, seeding them with the aliens and seeing like how this works, you know, like just using them as a test bed. That's actually be really cool, I think. Yeah.
They could have also gone even further to make the prisoners like more like dynamic, in the sense like if it's a company owned prison, like what would they put somebody in a prison for? Like what if it was like somebody who was framed for something because they wanted to start a union or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I think like that there could have been cool elements to that.
Yeah, totally. Well, you know, in their defense, we did get a bunch of yelling bald guys, so that's something.
Fair.
Yeah, we got the rape goggles. Don't forget those.
Oh yeah. Had to bring it up, Jim. I do also want to say two scenes that I thought were really cool. I think the the callback to how they killed the alien in the end was kind of a fun with like the lead and then like
shit,
the water.
I had that written down. I forgot.
Oh, that was one of yours.
That was my second. That was my second thing that I thought that
I'll let you take it. What do you want to say?
No, Joe. I've talked enough. Go ahead.
I just think that's a cool, like, there was some foreshadowing to that, right? Like in the early in the movie, like the lead and then like cooling it off and like it breaking apart, and that being the way that they were able to kind of to pull it all together. This lead processing.
You haven't actually explained what the foreshadowing is.
Can you actually do it?
Okay. So early on in the scene, when they first capture the alien, there's like a bucket full of like hot lead or something like that as part of the trap kind of thing. That kind of gets spilled and knocked over, and it's like collapsed on the ground there. And then they run the sprinklers because all the fire went off and shit. And when that happens, you see the lead bucket like pops open. And this isn't me or Joe. We didn't see this. This was Grant, our friend who is, I don't know.
Shout out Grant.
Yes, Grant called this immediately. And so at the end of the movie, when they're like turn on the sprinklers to get the hot leaded alien dead, like that bucket previews to show, it's set up. It's a good setup and payoff, solid.
Yeah, that was really cool. And I really enjoyed this. So I have a friend kind of like / relative who does really love this movie. And so I texted him that we'd watch this, and he mentioned one scene in particular that is his favorite scene. And when that came, it made me laugh. It's the scene in the mess hall when the superintendent Andrews is pulled up into the ceiling and there's just like there's just a beat. And then the one guy's just like, fuck. It's a good scene. That is a good scene.
I also liked at the end when like Ripley's trying to be like super cool and like do the walk away. She's like, if you want to come with, like, I'm good. He's like, where? The basement. He goes, what? This is all the basement. Is that what he's like?
Yeah, everything's the basement.
Everything is, what are you talking about? That was so funny to me.
Hey, for anyone else, maybe it's just because everybody looked, but I feel like Pete Porthswaith, who's in there, who's just a guy. Once you see his face, you'll know him. He's one of those actors.
Is it that guy?
Yeah, like, did he just show up halfway through the movie? Because I was like, I thought Pete Porthswaith was in this, and I was like, oh, but we're not seeing him. And then like an hour or plus into the movie, suddenly he's like there in the crowd scenes. Like, was that just me, or did anybody else feel like maybe he is early on?
They all look the same to me, dude.
I know.
I'll be honest, just like grubby dudes and like.
Oh, the guy from I had to look up his face. The guy from The Departed is where I'm thinking of.
Yes. Postal Weight.
Yeah. I thought that too. I thought it was like, was I not paying attention? Like, yeah.
It's like he has such a distinctive face, and suddenly it's just there, and it's like, how did I not see him here before?
What did you guys think of the reveal that Ripley had the alien queen in her chest cavity?
I think that is another like seed of a very interesting thing. Like the idea that the alien drone, the runner in this case, wouldn't attack her is a cool concept.
That was cool because I thought it was like just like a corny like, okay, so it's like a Moriarty Sherlock dynamic.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't that, but this makes that interesting. And the idea there's like an idea that there's like another like drone or something that's setting out to protect the queen. I think there are interesting things there that it just didn't feel like a lot of it was truly super fleshed out.
It does help with the plot armor to explain why in every other time we see an alien or somebody is infected with an alien egg, it's like a matter of hours at most before it bursts out, versus Ripley has like a week. Yeah, I guess if you make it the queen, then it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe
she's got to gestate longer.
Yeah, she's got to gestate.
Yeah. Khalid, you have thoughts, obviously.
I thought it was a good way to like explain the plot armor, as was mentioned. I think that like keeping Ripley out of like any immediate danger, but like she still recognizes the danger. I think that was a clever way to go about it. I don't know. It just felt like Sigourney Weaver just wanted out of this franchise, and like she was like, if I'm in this one, I gotta die. I've been in two other ones.
And she comes back though in 4 though.
I was gonna say the problem with this one too. The problems you think you have right now, Clede, wait till you see the 4th one. And then it's like they should have just skipped this one and gone to that one with the premise of what happened. And do you know what I mean? I feel like that how they bring her back. I'm like, well, you might as well have just went and done that one and skipped over this whole side. But
totally,
I also just feel like I don't buy that she wouldn't like off herself after everything she's been in. Like the whole idea that like she had to have Dylan kill her and like he wouldn't. and then like it felt a little too like narratively contrived. Like the
Yes.
fact that she wouldn't just like I don't even think in the like, oh yeah, like she's so tough she could kill herself kind of thing. I think that like she has seen 2 movies worth of devastation because of this thing. If she knows she has a queen in her, and like that is like the easiest alien kill she'll ever get, and I think she's gonna take that. And I just don't think it like lines up with the character that we've seen built up over 2 movies, that she would, one, put all of that onto a stranger, or 2, like trust that they would even kill her in a way that guarantees that the thing wouldn't get out of her. Like I think she would immediately immolate. She would self-immolate.
It's it's a space prison. They have to have some kind of like toilet sangria, made of jet fuel or whatever. That she can just OD like that. That'd be my way to
prison
go.
wine. She just gets drunk on prison wine until she dies.
Exactly.
Well, I respected it for what she did, because I was like, you know what? I hate corporations as much as she does, so I can understand her just like kind of giving the corporation the finger and doing it right in front of them. I thought that was good.
While I was very taken aback when I watched the assembly cut or whatever it is, the special cut, and the alien did not burst out of her chest at the end. I do, after like discussing with Joe, I do think it kind of makes it is better, because this was her choice. Like she didn't like, she wasn't going to die either way. She could have like maybe saved herself and given them the alien queen, but instead she just chose to do what she didn't do way before then for some reason, but kept talking about wanting to do for some reason. Oh, God.
It's like I said, contrived. And then that coupled with the molten lead thing, like that just felt like from the second they mentioned it, it was like, okay, so that's how they're going to kill the alien. And like, they just like are trying so hard. And I'm just like, I get that you don't have guns, but like there is like a lot of stuff that Ripley knows will kill it just from the other movies. Like there's a big gap between like guns and dumping molten lead in one specific space that you have to try and get the alien to get to. Like I just feel like within that facility they would have had other stuff.
Also, what is like it doesn't the alien take like 30 seconds to kill Dylan? Isn't he just down there just like screaming like, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it? And like, aren't they just like fumbling with the controls or something? I forget. I don't know.
It took a little longer than you'd think. Yeah.
It's just like, wait, he's still alive? Why did it just like pop his head?
He's like talking mad shit from under the thing.
Like, come on, get me.
That's all you got. It's like, bro, like,
here you go, Bell. Here you go, Bell.
So, couple more things I've got, but I want to be quick here. Lance Henriksen didn't really want to be in this movie at first because he thought it was too like depressing. But he did say he enjoyed being on the film, and I think that his sequences, like the bishop being reactivated, that was all an animatronic. He was just voicing it. But he does come back in the end as a character who claims to be a human that potentially the bishop android was modeled after, is the implication, and he's a member of the company trying to convince Ripley to come back with them. I was going to ask you, Jim, what do you think about it? But I know you're about to say I fucking hate it, right?
I fucking hate this so much. It's the thing that Star Wars always does, where they're like, we have to take this big, huge sci-fi universe and have everything fucking link up, and have like 20 people be responsible for every goddamn thing in the universe and have them all like related and shit. And there's nothing I hate more in world building than when it's, instead of just Bishop being like, just a random model of android, it's like, oh, he's based off of even like maybe in the end that he was lying, he wasn't a real human or whatever, but I don't know. It's just, I hate that trope.
He was a real human in the end, right?
Because he got brained in the head and it was blood.
Yeah, he was bleeding, right? And
there's theories that maybe like it was a different model that uses like a different color, like because the way his ears hanging off looks really goofy. But there's like it's all like, I think, online speculation, fan canon who want it to be an android. But
I don't know if that makes the movie any better.
I don't know either. No. Yeah, but it's I don't know. It's a weird thing. I do, before we go into the monster itself, I like to bring up like the themes that were addressed in the movie that we haven't touched on yet. And just to kind of like go into that. So like, of course, a big part of like, it's a nihilistic movie. Nihilism is a big theme. I think, one thing that I thought was kind of interesting we didn't really touch on is the idea of like religion as something to control others. I have this quote from the writer Sarah Welch Larson, who's actually going to be a guest on one of our episodes coming up. And she wrote it in a book. She wrote the, quote, patriarchal theologies that strip away variety and complexity in favor of inaccurate, simplified understandings of God. So the idea that it's not just religion for control, but it's religion that's exclusionary of women. And it's how that reflects like just patriarchal theologies throughout history. And so that's something that's really seen in a microcosm here that was interesting. And the other big one that I really wanted to touch on that I found from a author and film critic named Amy Taubin is the abortion metaphor, which she says, quote, Alien³ tapped into the abortion metaphor, being pregnant with a monster hybrid, being forced to carry a fetus you don't want to term. Her body may have become corrupted, but she is still defiant, never allowing the company, and she refers to as the corporate pro-lifers, to weaponize that.
That's a cool angle.
Yeah,
I like that reading, yeah.
I think that the movie doesn't do enough work to like get the credit for such a cool idea, but I think it touched on it.
I give it 100. Like, that is a really cool reading, and I give it 100% to the woman who like did it. The movie did not earn that. That is her being very generous to it and really thinking about cool stuff. And
I think that part of it is that they don't even tell you that that's what's happening with Ripley until like the third act. So it's like hard to really explore that idea in the movie.
I think a better director, no offense, Fincher, I think that like a better director could have pulled that narrative off, and it would have been really cool, and it would have been I think it would have made it a more powerful movie. I like that concept a lot, though. I do really like that idea.
I really like that.
Oh, it shows the time of the movie was made in, but if you're trying to make a movie that's about like a woman alone and isolated in an environment, it would have been probably great if they had brought in a woman to like explain to them what that's like.
100%.
You know, because just now it's just such 90s edgelord shit, man. It's just, I can't take it.
Which is funny because in Black Christmas, the original Black Christmas, I think that was like written directed by like man, and they pulled off like a lot of like really, because I had to watch it recently for like last Christmas, and just there was a lot of there's talks about abortion in that. There was a lot of talks of like there's a lot of like strong feminism messages in that movie, but this one didn't really seem to pull that off. I mean,
it's getting like half like planted seeds kind of thing.
Yeah,
ideas that are there that just didn't really come to fruition in that sense. And I like those readings, like having those readings to watch the movie like makes it feel like better. But I think you're all right that like I don't think that the effort was really there behind the scenes at the time. Like it's hard to give credit to the film for what other people have really attributed to it and to make it better for themselves. So I don't know. And I think like speaking of headcanon, like headcanon has become like a lot of ways that people have made this better. Like, oh, this means this, or this was actually this, that's just not stated. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed too, like in the beginning when they talk about Newt, there's like unidentified, like, I think in the assembly cut it says 10-year-old, and in the theatrical it says like 12-year-old girl who's killed, which is weird because like they were like she's like 8 or 7 or 8, so there's like all these like fan theories that perhaps she was switched out, like, or like there was a dummy body that was switched in, or like all these different things of like maybe Newt's still alive out there, or like maybe Newt got in a couple adventures on the way or something, like, and got a little older in cryostasis. So there's all these like weird things, like inconsistencies.
Well, that's what I thought they were going to. That's what I like, because I noticed some inconsistencies too. I thought what they were like angling up to, which would have made it a little less horrible, is that like Newt somehow got out of cryo and realized there was like a face hugger, and like that's like part of why she died, was like trying to fight it or something. I thought they would at least give her that dignity, but that never came up.
I can't wait for the coming Disney Plus miniseries that does the Obi-Wan with little Leia, with like Newt and Corporal Hicks on the on the ship trying to. It's coming, people. It's coming, baby.
A side adventure, yeah.
You're first.
6 seasons coming to Disney Plus.
Should we monster it up, guys?
Let's monster.
All right, I got actually a decent amount on this one, and Jim brought up a lot of great monster stuff already too. But in this one, the xenomorph is actually the first time they use the term xenomorph as like capital, right? Like the name of it. But it's called the runner or the dragon often too. So behind the scenes, Stan Winston was unable to come back for this one and recommended Tom Woodruff Jr. and Alec Gillis, who were former workers of his, who just started their own company, Amalgamated Dynamics. H.R. Geiger was consulted to make a new design, making a bunch of sketches. he only a few bits of his design made it into the final design, which were the alien running on all fours. He made it have more lips, which was a thing that he wanted, and he also like removed the tubes on the back for this like kind of runner design. He was not happy with how he was credited in the initial theatrical version, where it says like alien designs based on H.R. Geiger's, rather than saying that he contributed to the specific design. So he was pretty pissed off about how it was represented. Like in the previous episodes, I'll go through a little bit of the life cycle here. We do see a chest burster in this one coming out of the dog or the ox, depending on which version you watch. It's quite different. It's much more fully formed. I think, and then one way I thought that it kind of worked with the ox is it feels like maybe it was gestating longer and got a little bit bigger, and that might have been why it looked that way. So I'm not sure, but they are in the assembly cut. You see like a CGI that was like something added in later on in 2003, I think, the CGI like chest burster runner running away from the ox. So we only see that a little bit, but it's quite a bit bigger than chest bursters puppets that we've seen in the past. So what do you guys think of that?
That made me think back to this is related, I promise. It made me think back to the toys from the 90s, like the Bull Alien and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, they could have just went with that, which I think would have visually looked cooler.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if anyone else had those action figures, but they had a bunch of action. I had to like look it up to make sure I wasn't crazy. But they had a bunch of like action figures that were based from the Alien movies and Xenomorphs, and they were like different versions of them. There was a gorilla alien, there was a bull alien. They just sold them separately. And I just had to see if they were connected to any movies, and they weren't any movies. But I just feel like there's a lot of different ways they could have went with this, with the design of the monster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel bad about how they credited the creator though.
My God, I remember this thing. Holy crap!
Go put in the show notes when you see it. But yeah, those are kind of a throwback, and that's maybe when you were talking about the concept of it. When I was going into this one, I was like, oh, is this where is that where the bullying and those ones are coming from? So I just sorry, I just kind of rambled on about.
No, that's totally interesting point. Like, there's a lot of different ways that they could have taken. Like, the only other big difference between this alien runner and other ones, like the skin is a little bit more brownish red as opposed to like usually gray black. But otherwise, like, it looks. I mean, it also, like, I feel like just based on the virtue, and I'm going to get into like the visual effects of it, like the compositing nature of it, like the scale of it is never quite clear. Like, you don't know how big it is. And that's sometimes it looks really tiny, and that's like a I don't know, problem at the time.
Oh, had they gone with like the less leave, like more ox like Alien 2, they could have used more like men in suits, because it would have had a larger size.
Yeah,
sort of. That might, I don't know. That's hindsight 2020.
So I think I mentioned earlier on, the production team actually tried to use the actual dog dressed as a xenomorph to portray the runner here. It didn't work out. The special effects team says they was, quote, laughably inept decision to try. Then they changed it to using a scale rod puppet of the creature that would be composited into the live action footage. And they also did have some full scale suits for the more close-up shots, the ones that looked really good. So for what compositing is, it's like they film this like puppetry in like a different like a different camera, and they were able to like interlay it on top of the scene that we're seeing. So it's not CG. A lot of people say, oh, it's bad CGI or it's bad visual, like, graphics. It's a different. It is a practical effect, but it's like being digitally put onto the film. So it's an interesting technique that was used, and as Jim had said, it's kind of charming of this era. Kind of interesting to see the evolution of like how special effects. The original practical effects are just so timeless, and like sometimes when you start to get into this digital world, like it really dates the movie in some ways. But ADI, so the effects co-founder Tom Woodruff Jr., who I mentioned, is the stunt performer who was in the alien suit mostly. The suits and the puppets that we see, the rod puppets, there were 3 that were made of latex skin over like an articulated metal frame. The puppet was hand animated, requiring 4 people to manipulate it, 1 on the front legs, 1 on the rear legs, and another on the tail, and a final operator controlling the head and torso. For the shots where the creature like was upside down in the ceilings, they had like an additional 2 puppeteers to do each leg. The puppet was generally filmed in front of a blue screen at a totally different studio in Los Angeles using that motion control camera, and then later composited onto the live action set footage.
I just wish that he would have like taken a little like page out of Ridley Scott's version of like the less is more. I think we just got like exposed to seeing it like in pretty well lit spaces too often, and it just kind of took the effect away. You know, I understand the charm of like the tech at the time, and like, but like its movements were always just so jarring to me.
Yeah, it's just also just so hard to stack up to the previous two, which were just so iconic with their effects. Like they did so much, even with just so little too. Like, but
Well,
like,
that's the thing. It's like what you
yeah.
didn't see. Like it's exactly like that snippet that you had in the episode about the first Alien. Like Ridley Scott's whole thing was like he wanted like the monster to like be scarier in your mind.
Exactly. It didn't want the guy in the suit feel like something that's really mysterious in the shadows. And yeah, you do see it a lot here. And I think it's very evident when you're seeing the suits and when you're seeing the composited images. And I think that the suit scenes ultimately hold up a lot more. Like that iconic scene with the alien right next to Ripley's face is really good. And there are other scenes where you see the alien like, and it looks really, really cool. But yeah, it's tough. And I ultimately I do really like the idea of doing a different alien creature here, like the idea of the runner, something that takes on that form of the host, or like something that's slightly different than Ripley had seen before. I think that's cool, and there's some cool ideas at play for sure.
It's going to be a deep 80s cut towards this that'll also tie into your later XENOMANIA films, but
Yeah.
they could have used Jean-Claude Van Damme because they didn't end up using him for another movie that's somewhat in this franchise.
Are you going to make us guess which one? Because I know. Khalid, do you know?
Yeah, I also know.
Oh, Jim, do you know?
Yes, Joe, I know.
Okay. Go ahead, Joel.
Predator.
Yeah. I love that fact. That's
Me
yeah,
too.
fun.
They could have just used it for that. That would be like a really fun tie, especially how it all ties into like the Predator versus Alien world. That would be like a really.
That would have been great. Yeah.
I think a karate xenomorph would have been a lot better than a dog xenomorph.
He's a French xenomorph or Belgium, whatever it is.
French. Yeah, but yeah, so I mean there's not too much more to really dig into VFX wise. Like the compositing and the rod puppets were kind of the big like new addition, and some of the small changes to like the alien to make it more like of a runner. Oh, one other thing I did have, there is like in more of like in fan communities, the intelligence of the runner is debated, as this one notably just kills people rather than taking people to be like to cocoon them or like establish hive as the warrior drones had in like Aliens. So there's like people who've kind of made the case that since it came from like an ox or a dog, like the intelligence is more limited, and the ones that come from the humans are more like thoughtful and trying to establish a colony. I don't know if that holds up, but that's some theories that people have.
I mean, it kind of fits really well with somebody's own personal headcanon that might have been stated earlier.
There it is. There it is.
I don't know.
Don't you dare bring it up. We already no Fern paradoxes.
I'm just saying, I wish Ridley Scott had consulted me before making Prometheus, because boy, did he spoil that.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, that's mostly what I got for the monsters. You guys have any other like thoughts about the portrayal of the creature here?
I thought it was really gross when it was like punching its way out of the dog's chest.
Yeah, that was
I don't
depressing.
know how it looked for the cow, but for the dog, it was a very upsetting visual. It wasn't like when it jumps out of William Hurt in the first one. It was like just like you see the chest, just like it looks like a fist, just like pressing out of a dog.
It is a very sad one, especially because they kind of sell you the dog earlier. It's not even like sell you as a bad dog. So you're not like they make it any better, but they just sold it as a very cute dog, which it was. And then like, yeah, it's yeah. So in that version, I did think that I can understand why they did not go with that.
I don't remember what that's like, but I do remember that being a very visceral moment. And yeah, I can say from the ox thing, it's much more just kind of like quick and
yeah.
No, this movie was very like relentless and like did not care about the viewer or like any sensitivity. It was very intense, which like, you know, that's not necessarily a deal breaker, but man, again, like coupling everything else that happens in that first 30 minutes, like it is just a lot to ask a viewer to go through.
Oh,
Yeah.
Joe, I have some stuff. It's not about this movie, but I do have some Aliens things. If you want alien trivia about the monster. All right. So in Ridley Scott's original idea for it, it was supposed to be like a really fast, like living with a short life cycle, super dangerous creature. So that's why when they had it come out as the chest burster, it's all white. And then his original idea for it, because this one, the alien is more brownish, and that actually kind of fits with a lot of H.R. Giger's concepts for it. The whole idea was, though, is that like the alien, it's getting bruised as it's growing and like moving around, and so it's like skin is darkening because it keeps like doing that. And again, with their original idea, it's just going to go find a bunch of people, build a nest, turn some of them into eggs, like create more of itself, and then die off. That was their original concept for it. In Aliens, I don't think you mentioned this in that one. One of the biggest change that they made to the design of the alien was that they put the ridges in to the skull, because since James Cameron like wanted more of them and they had to kind of make the suits able to move more and do more with them, they were finding that the big heads that were just bulbous and dome-like were just coming apart. So that was something that actually really confused me as a kid, because switching back between Alien and Aliens, the aliens from Aliens, the alien, yeah, they have like a weird ridging to their kind of bulbous head thing.
Fascinating.
Also, so Dano, this movie, like friend of the podcast, John Carpenter, there is like a John Carpenter made the first Alien movie, because I don't know if you've seen this. Joe, do you know about this? Dark Star?
Yes,
Like,
I know of
that
Dark
is-
Star.
Okay, yeah. That if you go and watch that, it's like that movie is just aliens. It's written by Dan O'Bannon. It flopped, and he got so pissed from it that he's basically like, I'm just gonna make the same movie again, but I'm just gonna put a lot of rape into it, because he was so pissed that nobody liked the movie. And it's true. Like, there's so many weird parallels, but instead of the psychosexual like cyborg H.R. Giger thing, the alien is like a beach ball with feet. I'm not even shitting you. It's so weird, but if you're an alien completionist, like,
Well, I gotta say it now.
yes, it is worth a watch.
Dark Star is getting like a new like restoration, like physical media release that I want to get, and I want to do it on the podcast.
Oh, also in James Cameron's script, which I've read, it's a weird, xenomorph isn't capitalized, which, in my opinion, and a few other people on the internet that I agree with, and I want to be right, means that like they weren't using the word as the term for the species. They were just kind of being like, you know how somebody referring to an animal might be like, it's a quadruped or whatever, because yeah, it just like literally means like alien shape changer, you know. So it's just like something like, you know, describing a marsupial or something in the context of how it's used in that movie. That's how I would interpret it to be done. But in this movie, they establish it as kind of like the official name of the species, which is another knock against it, I guess. And that's all.
All right. Well, I like that. Thanks, Jim. Before we go to our final segment of the show, I have a question that I wanted to ask you guys that I've asked our other guests, and we kind of like jumped right into this, so I didn't get a chance to. So Jim and Joel, you could kind of answer this question like twofold a little bit. Why do you think like Alien as a franchise has become so resonant as it has in like popular culture and just like the general like zeitgeist? And like, if you'd rather take in this direction, like why is it meaningful to you personally?
Okay, yeah, Jim, do you want to answer first?
Well, I already did the second one.
Other than wet dreams, Jim.
God damn it.
What furry paradox?
We're going to find out real hard if my family actually listens to this, because I will know for sure in like a week or so if I get a what the fuck message from my siblings. Yeah. But so nobody was doing this at the level it was. If you look at horror movies, especially sci-fi horror movies, prior to Aliens, you know, the quality of just set design, everything, the cinematography, the monster design, all of that, Alien kind of came in right at the moment with the right group of people and kind of the right idea to show, like Star Wars, what you could really do with special effects when you push them forward and how much they could add to a story. And then Aliens came and like kind of did it again in a different way. And it was just like the right idea kind of at the right time under 2-1s. And like, you know, just little stuff like it has a female protagonist who survives at the end, but I don't think they even mentioned that Ripley is a woman in the script, and she's not written like that. Like the character of Ripley they never survive in horror movies. You know, they're the pessimists, like, oh, this isn't going to happen. But instead, the person who was always right, instead of being kind of killed off, they're shown to be right because they were the most rational about this, and they get to live, and then they get to become a killing badass. And I don't know, it just wasn't done on that level of quality before, and I think that's why it's. And again, I saw it when I was like 3, and it's right up there with Batman and the Ninja Turtles as something that will never leave my brain. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if I ever have kids, whether that's something that I'd repeat with them for obvious reasons that we don't need to bring up again.
For me, I just think the whole franchise, I think, is so strong. I think outside of right now, specifically, when I'm going to get this, outside of right now, specifically, that I think if you were to remove Alien from like ever being released, and you were to just make this movie Alien 1, like, and Aliens, and put them out now, I think that like right now, if you put them out, there'd be like a lot of people complaining about how woke it is, which I think is comical. I really do. I think it's comical. Because they'd be like, what's going on here, right? You know, they'd be like complaining about that. But outside of that, I think that you could take this, if you remove this franchise and it never existed, and you were to make it 100 years from now, it'd be a hit because it's such a cool premise and such a cool story, and it just taps into a lot of themes that as humans, everyone can kind of just get, and like the fear of like the unknown in space and everything like that. And Ripley's such an interesting character. Or if you were to take it 100 years ago and put it out in like the technology they had back then, even then it'd be a cool premise because, again, the fear of the unknown, and it brings a sense of wonder and the danger of the darkness of there. I just think that it just works whenever, outside of this really strange time right now. And I still think it works right now because of the nostalgia factor. But what I'm saying is I just think the story is just so strong by itself, and it's kind of like a space slasher in a sense. So I don't know. I think the monsters and the characters just really work at any time. And yeah, they're so iconic and game changing.
Joel, you are so right about that, by the way. Like,
right? Only time is right now. This little sliver of time would work.
Also one, like, just to speak to like the movie Alien, the first Alien has my favorite fourth wall break of any movie ever. Do you guys know about that? Like, Joel, do you know about that? Joe?
Not sure.
So when I don't know how I found out about this. I did not, like, I watched it a billion times, and then I kind of found out about it and I had to watch it again. And so when Ash, when Bilbo Baggins is attacking Ripley, in that, there's a moment where, like, the camera, it's a handheld shot, and the camera kind of moves around him as she's crawling on the ground, and he's walking up towards her. And then the cameraman, like, walks back, and they've got a little alcove off of the, like, kitchen area where they have. And there's, like, you know, like, beads hanging down from it. I don't know if it's where they keep the crystal shop on the ship or whatever, but... like, there's beads in this doorway, or like some kind of dangly thingy, and the cameraman walks through it and it starts jingling. And just for a second, Ash turns to the camera and looks straight at you, and then just looks back to what he's doing and goes back to that. Like, you should go and look up that scene now, because it's like one of the most subtle, coolest, like, I don't know, I think so much, like, even the fact that Ash was an android was just like such a twist that you would have never saw coming when you would like hear about it. Like,
That's
I
so
could
cool.
go on for hours.
Yeah, I want to see that.
So everybody look that up who's listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We should probably move on to our final segment of the show, folks. Our last segment that we do is our What the Fandom segment, in which we each share 1 to 2 things that we are into at the moment, watching, reading, listening to, whatever that may be. Guests get to go last, so you get to think on it a little bit. We'll start with you, Khalid. You haven't spoken in a while. What the Fandom with you?
Thanks for asking, Joe. My What the Fandom this week is going to be the Amazon Freebie. It's another Freebie show.
Love Freebie.
I at this point, they need to be cutting me checks because I am getting so many views for them, I'm sure. But yeah, it's a new Freebie comedy series called Primo. It's by Shea Serrano, who is a famous writer, and I think he does a podcast too. But yeah, he was a writer that did a book called Hip Hop and Other Things, and then I think he did Basketball and Other Things, and he's done a few other things on top of that, other things. And yeah, Primo is his first foray into television writing, and it's just a really fun show about that's loosely based on his life. He grew up with 5 uncles and his mom raising him, and so the show follows that. And it's just it just really reminds me of like those like early 2000s comedies by like Greg Garcia and Greg Daniels even, and just like just like a fun like neighborhood comedy about like a family and a community that kind of, you know, it takes a village to raise a child type of ethos that never stops being charming when done right. And it's just a really fun, breezy comedy. I think all episodes are out at the time of this recording. So yeah, do yourself a favor and check it out if you want a fun laugh. And Joe, what the fandom with you?
Thanks for asking, Khalid. Mine is a book I started recently. It's an audio book. I'm actually listening to the audio. The narrator is really good, but it's called Between Two Fires by Christopher Buhlman, I believe is how you pronounce that. It's a period piece slash fantasy horror set during the time of the Black Plague, and follows kind of a disgraced French knight who like fell to like banditry and all that, but finds a young girl who might be more than she sees, who can kind of communicate with angels and stuff. And they're just kind of wandering across the land, going to, you know, different small towns in Paris. So it's a real landscape, and there's historical like events that are happening, but there's a lot of fantastical horror elements. Like there's demons that they're encountering, monsters. Speaking of nihilism, there's a very nihilistic element bent to it that's really strong, and this kind of like wandering, disgraced knight character, and just like the situations that the characters all find themselves in, and like the hopelessness that's seen within this Black Plague, of the idea of like the whole concept of like God has left us, and so the demons are running free. It's been kind of compared. It's very, there's more Christian elements to it and like historical elements to it, but it's kind of been compared to the Berserk manga a little bit, with a tone that's kind of similar, and like demons and kind of like just this unknown kind of thing they're kind of attributing meaning to. But I'm about halfway through it at this point, and it's really good. I'm really digging it. It's heavy at times, but the horror elements are really fascinating. It's really cool. The way it like brings that into like a historical context is really interesting. I think it's very well written. It's written in like a third person, like omniscient narration, which is, I think, rubs some people the wrong way, but I think it's done pretty well here, where it just jumps back and forth between perspectives like pretty instantaneously. It just kind of makes for an interesting like all around picture of like something horrific that's happening and how all the characters are handling it. But that's my fandom this week, and I'd recommend it. That being said, I will shoot it over to Joel. What the fandom with you?
Okay. I should be plugging my own stuff, but I am going to skip that because I've got two things that I have to talk about. We'll be really quick with them. Number one is this show called it's called Sanctuary, not The Sanctuary, called Sanctuary. It's a Netflix TV series. It's from Japan, and it follows a bad boy sumo wrestler. It is so good. I'm definitely going to write a post about it, or probably probably do a blog post about it this week. I just finished it last week, and it is so good, so addicting. The character that's the star is just so fun to watch in every single scene. I just really like that show. Fun fact about me, if I could do anything else in the world, it would be to be a sumo wrestler, but I actually do not have the metabolism to ever be that, so I went into writing. True story. I really love sumo. I don't know what it is, but I just think it's the coolest thing. So when I saw a show about sumo wrestling, I was like, holy shit, this is right up my alley. And it delivered beyond. It's very addicting, and I loved it. And my other thing is the movie Influencer, which I had the pleasure to see at the Blood in the Snow Festival in Toronto in November. And it just came out to Amazon and Shudder last Friday. It is a fantastic thriller. I'm going to say horror thriller. There's an actress in it named Cassandra Naud, I think her last name. I think that's how it sounds. That movie is really, really good. It's getting great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and such, and from reviewers, but you are seeing the breakout performance of an actress in that one. She's been in other things before, but in this, she's absolutely phenomenal. You guys, I think you all like it, but I had the pleasure of meeting her before before the premiere of the movie at the festival, and she was very humble and she's like, oh yeah, I'm very excited to for people to see the movie, but was very really humble about it. And then I saw the movie and I was like, holy shit, you undersold it. It was such a good performance and a really good movie. Influencer on Amazon and Shudder.
Cool. Jimmy, what the fandom with you?
To the surprise of no one, mine is a video game. So there is a company called Nintendo. They make video games and consoles like the Switch. And on the Switch, very recently released, is a very big release. I'm speaking, of course, of Metroid Prime Remastered, which Metroid Prime Remastered is a GameCube game. That is a console several, like when I was a kid. It was my first Metroid game. What is Metroid? Well, speaking of the fact that we're in Xenomania, Metroid is a series that was super influential, right up there, like came a little bit after like Mario and Legend of Zelda with Nintendo's kind of like big ones. Um, and just Nintendo has never really, like, they've made absolute masterpiece of it, but they've kind of they kind of just forgot how to do that for like 2 or 3 decades. And so you have this series here where literally it has one of the gaming's first like female characters, Samus Aran. Why it is heavily influenced by like H.R. Giger Aliens, and the reason why Samus is a woman and one of the first ones is basically because Ellen Ripley in Aliens. They're inspired by that. I'm pretty positive that's a direct thing for that. And the series is just cool. It's fun. I mean, it's not for everyone, but it's more like kind of a platformer, but you wander around the levels and you get lost in the world. And Metroid Prime Remastered it's only $40. It is a GameCube game, but I think it's one of the best games of all time, and it's a very beautiful remake of it. And it's you have a thing where like it's from the first person perspective, but the controls are much better than they were on the GameCube. And it's just, this series should get more love, and it's kind of a shame that it always gets overshadowed. But yeah, considering that it's Xenomania, in honor of that, we should Samus should be right up there with Ripley, in my opinion. So give that one a look.
Great recommendations all around, everybody. Wanted to say before we close out, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Joel, for taking the time to be on our one of our Xenomania episodes. It was a pleasure to have you guys back.
Thank you guys so much, and yeah, thank you guys so much, and it's such an honor to be back on this.
This is really fun, guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I said, Frankenstein's podcast royalty here.
It's funny,
Frankenstars,
because now I have a reference, a very unique reference for how highly Khalid and Joe think of me, and it's in the Alien movies.
Yeah.
I am not close enough friends for Alien, not even close enough friends for Aliens, but I'm Aliens cubed, baby, right? I'm not Aliens Resurrection, but now I know where I stand.
Fair enough. But yeah, thank you also for the amazing banner. It looks awesome, and your artwork is just unfuckwithable. It's super great.
So good.
Nope. Whenever you ask before, again, I've got my new PC built up, and so one of the big projects is I'm finding all the old files buried deep in my drives that I built for that, and I'm gonna try and start getting merch together for this kind of show and stuff and things like that. Because yeah, I was without a PC at home for like 4 or 5 months, so. Hopefully we can get working on that.
So look out for that. Wow.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys, either of you guys, want to plug anything of your own real quick before we close out? Any projects, Jim, Joel?
No, it's just follow me on West Coast Strange on Instagram. My Instagram stories are very chaotic. They're usually not mine. I just share whatever. So yeah, follow me on West Coast Strange. I will be posting some stuff probably about some movies, but yeah, that's about it. I'll post all my stuff there, and thank you guys so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, Joe, you keep calling me an artist, but like it's true, but also I have like nothing going on, and I haven't updated any of my things in so long, so you don't really have to like follow me or whatever, but I don't know, someday I'll get that together. We're working towards it. Things in the oven, that kind of thing. But it's just an honor to be here, and I always love when you guys let me be on.
Oh, we love having you guys too. And we love having awesome discussions for all of you awesome listeners. Thank you for listening to another amazing episode of Frankenstein's podcast and another installment of Xenomania. Look out for Alien Resurrection when that hits your airwaves. And until next time, creep it easy.